Yes. Yes. See, if I call him Jesse, then it's Rush. Oh, that's right.
Here, yeah.
Yes.
Good evening, calling the meeting to order. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I would like a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda, August 21st, 2023.
Motion was made by Commissioner Catane and supported by Commissioner Stroh. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Minutes.
I'll move the minutes, August 7th, 2023.
Support. Motion was made by Commissioner Catane and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, this is the time in our agenda for public comments, and first we have your County Commissioner Brad Hidon.
Greetings from the county. I have a list of items to discuss tonight. First up is the fire department. I'm proud to say that they are getting their scene lighting. I know I talked to you guys about that at the last meeting. Today, Commissioner Swindell joined me out at the Torzuski Disc Golf Course ribbon cutting. I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder. I know big things are happening with yours. As far as what we did 2 weeks ago, we re-upped the KIND program, which is Kids in New Directions program. It's a 50% match between the county and the school districts throughout the county for kids that are in kindergarten through 8th grade that folks inside the schools have seen kind of falling through the cracks. Very, very important program. We also approved the sheriff department, and I'm sure Chief Howe can agree that this was long overdue. that the sheriff's department is getting a new crash reconstruction manual. The last time it's been updated was 2007, and it worked on Windows 7, which I think, I'm not a techie, but that's umpteen Windows ago. And then the last thing that I want to talk about, I think, is a very important one. Last Monday, I know most of you were there. There was the joint meeting between all of your boards, and I was joined by new County Administrator Moses Zanzo. I can't tell you the last time a sitting county administrator came to a city meeting, but City Manager Mike Womack did give him a flag. I thought it was a nice gesture. I just wanted to say thank you all for working with me to improve the relationship between the county and the city. I think it's at the best it's been in decades. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, on our requested public comments is Jeremy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
There's some dead ash trees that border my property, posing a hazard to the environment of those areas that the property, in the property where there's a fall zone. So some have already fallen over on my property, causing some damage to healthy trees and just inconvenience to myself for debris removal. So I looked at a website that has city property information, discovered that the city of Lapeer owns that parcel land, called the offices of the DPW in May and asked if they could come take a look and remove the trees. They said that they'd have someone call me back, and I hadn't heard from anybody. So on July 11th, I went in person and asked again. Met a couple employees and the director who told me that they didn't own that parcel. They directed me to the city assessor's office. So from there, actually, I guess the director recognized my name from a FOIA request that he was working on regarding this evening special assessment in Andrew River Estate. Told him I wasn't there to discuss it at the time, that I'd wait for the meetings, and he said he wasn't going to be there. I continued press for the conversation. I was back for the July 17th meeting. So we had a small conversation, made an offhand remark that he's got lots of people angry with him, so I listened and heard him out after some brief discussion. I assured him and his staff that I wasn't angry with them. I thanked them for their help, and especially for pointing me over to the city assessor's office to get to the bottom of all this. So I spoke to Denise Marinelli, who directed me to the exact same website that I previously used, and she just instructed me to go back and let them know that she confirmed the ownership, and if they had any questions, they could call her. Unfortunately, when I went back the next day to ask again about the tree removal, the employee there, they were a little bit rude about it and adamantly denied the city ownership of the parcel. So eventually, after some time typing around a computer or whatever, she said if the city owned them, someone would be out to remove them. And then the interesting thing about that was a couple days later, I got the assessment roll for this evening's hearing. And sure enough, the city was listed as the owner of that particular parcel that puts up the back end of my property. So while I wasn't angry with the director or the employees at the DPW, but I have to say I'm a little bit upset now after running all over town and doing all of that and the rudeness that I encountered. And so, it strikes me as not confusing when they tell me that they have people angry with them all the time. So my general comment to that is generally just stop being rude, stop making the residents do fact-finding for the department, and take some responsibility to stop making people angry in general. And maybe they could use some training in customer service. So that's my general statement or comment, and I look forward to sharing later during the hearing.
Okay, now I can open the public comments to anybody else who would like to raise their hand. We will give you 3 minutes to speak. And we're gonna try and do something a little different on our phones. We're using our phone for the timer, and when it gets close to 30 seconds, block right before the end of the 30, before the 33 minutes are up. We'll try to let you know somehow. But it's a little different. Anyway, so I think, Melissa, you had your hand up first.
I just want to open tonight's meeting in prayer. there's a scripture that says, "Come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace." As in the congregations of the Lord's people, they must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask that you would bring your Holy Spirit and fill this room. Thank you that you said that wherever two or more are gathered, you are amongst them. You are a good, good Father, and we can bring any of our thoughts to you, any of our worries, any of our anxieties. Lord, I think that there are people that are concerned about so many things, but you know all their thoughts. You know all of them, all their inner feelings and worries. And Lord, thank you that you are willing to take each one of them. All they have to do is ask. Come to you tonight, Lord, thanking you for the weekend of beautiful, beautiful weather. Some of the best weather in many leap year days that I remember. Thank you for the safety that you provided. Thank you for all of our municipalities that worked so hard to make it a festival of fun and safety. Our police officers and our firemen worked overtime. They were kind and respectful, and I felt protected. Thank you, Lord, for those people and how you made them. We ask that you be in this meeting tonight, that you bless each person here, that you would let them know you know they're here, you know why they're here. Lord, I pray for the government of our city, of our state, of our county, of our nation. Lord, we know the government is on your shoulders and your will supersedes anything. We trust you. We know how important trust is. Lord, it's priceless. Thank you that I can trust you. Thank you that everyone in this room can trust you because you are so trustworthy. I pray all these things in your precious Son, Jesus' name. Be with us, Lord, as we finish this hearing tonight. In Jesus' name.
Would anybody else like to speak at this time? Young man in the back, black shirt.
My name is Brent Getz. I'm with the Above Par. I'm the one who's been working on the Crampton Disc Golf Course and associated with Rodney and the whole Parks Department and everything. I know you guys are going to vote on the special event that we have planned for September 24th on the Sunday. I just want to give you an update on the course. We have all the concrete laid, all the baskets are in, and it is already being played at 50% the rate of courses that have been in for 15 or 20 years. Because we have the app that tracks how many people are playing it. We're averaging 42 rounds a day for the last 2 weeks since we've gone public with it being open. We have all the artwork done. We have a lot of the throwing through time that's like a history of Lapeer. So we're looking forward to September 24th. Hope all you guys can make it. It's going to be fun. We're expecting between 150 and 200 people to attend the opening of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I know some of you from the past. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sam Howard. I'm a resident of the city, and I was on the youth council back when it started up until however many years ago when I left for college. I think being on it was something that meant a lot to me. I know that it meant a lot to my other council members, and so I'm cautiously optimistic to see that it's been talked about in your meetings and it's back. And you guys are trying to figure out how to approach the new thing. Personally, somebody that was on it the whole time and worked closely with Commissioner Atwood, Commissioner Bostic-Trulius at the time, part of me thinks that we were a little bit set up to fail. And so I'm hoping that this commission will take that into account and will look at how to make it better and how to promote it the way that it should be. I think that we had a lot of great ideas, but unfortunately we couldn't achieve those the way that I would have liked to and the way that I know some of my other members would have, simply because we couldn't hit the threshold of people, or at times we didn't even feel the support from that city commission. So I'm hoping moving forward, as you guys talk about how to revamp the youth council and how to come up with a way to get youth involved. I hope that you take those things into account and that everybody on the commission feels more responsible for it. It felt way too disconnected, in my opinion, to where if we even tried to meet with somebody from the city, sometimes we just couldn't. And so I think that at least that's how it felt for me. I won't speak for the rest of my members. I won't speak for Commissioner Atwood. But I would like to see the youth council revision, and I would like to see it come back. I think that we had a lot of great ideas. We could have done a lot of great things. And so I'm hoping that you all take it serious when you say that you want to look at it, maybe reconsider the ordinance or whatever else needs to be done. I know that the youth council has helped steer me into a direction where I would like to go into city government. I started a master's of public administration in less than a week. So I know that this has really pushed me to go into city government. And I think there are a lot of kids in our area that have that same drive to help people. And I think that the youth council is a great way to obtain that goal and to start us on that track. So I hope that each of you will seriously consider how to fix it, how to make it better. And I would be more than open to speaking to any of you about any suggestions, anything that I can do to help you guys to try to push you in that direction and to get the youth council up and running again. I know Commissioner Atwood.
3 minutes.
Hi. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Are there any other public comments at this time?
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, my name is Linda Glissman, and I'm just up here to give some kudos to the Chamber of Commerce. I know that they did a fantastic job, and I'm sure you will all acknowledge that in a little while. But as the first time in the parade, I was so overwhelmed by the great organization and how well everything went, and all the people on the streets, how friendly, warm, and how much information they had. So I just want to make sure that the chamber gets extra kudos. Thank you.
Would anybody else make a public comment at this time? Okay, we'll move on to the rest of our agenda. The consent agenda.
I'll
Commissioner
move
King,
tonight's consent agenda for approval.
support. Motion's been made by Commissioner Catane to move the consent agenda and supported by Commissioner Swindell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Okay. Bill listing.
Make a motion to approve the bill listing for August 21st, 2023 in the amount of $3,437,272.84.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Pattison and supported by Commissioner Stroh. Discussion? Are we going to choose? Commissioner,
Do you know what percentage our general fund is?
You mean percentage of the general fund balance to operational revenues? I don't have it off the top of my head, and I can get it for you.
Sorry, I just thought of it.
Yeah.
Trying to throw anybody under the bus.
No, it's a great number to know, I just don't know it off the top of my head. So I'd be happy to send it to you guys.
Yeah. I was wondering, because it's been since the budget wasn't too long ago, so I just didn't have it off the top of my head.
As of June 30th, or is there a particular date? Because the fiscal
Yeah,
year
yeah.
just ended June 30th, and we'll be we're wrapping up the fiscal year right now. So I don't have that number, but
Okay.
I just want to know what date you were looking for.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
this calls for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Catane,
Yes.
Commissioner Pattison,
Yes.
Commissioner Stroh,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes.
Motion carries. And then in your packet, you had a proclamation for James Muxlow, who's retiring from the fire department. He's not here this evening, but you would have in the packet. Is the motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the proclamation for James Muxlow as presented.
Motion was made by Commissioner Swindell and supported by Commissioner Patterson. Discussion?
Do we normally read that, or?
We do when they're here. I can if you'd like. Would you
Well,
like?
I was just asking. I think I remember
We always
sometimes when
do.
we were
Sometimes I
here.
do. Would you like me to read it? I'll read it. Okay. This is a proclamation in recognition of James E. Muxlow. Whereas James E. Muxlow served as a firefighter with the City of Lapeer Fire and Rescue Department from March 19, 1991 through June 10, 2023. And whereas James E. Muxlow is an individual of great personal integrity and has given conscientious service to the citizens of the City of Lapeer and Lapeer County. And whereas James E. Muxlow exemplifies professionalism, dependability, caring, and hard work in his service as a firefighter. And whereas through his persistence, hard work, and dedication, James E. Muxlow has set an example for all firefighters and is honored by his community. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Debbie Marquardt, Mayor of the City of Lapeer, and the Lapeer City Commission, take this opportunity on behalf of the people of the City of Lapeer to express official gratitude and deep appreciation to James E. Muxlow for his efforts and devotion to public service, and wish him continued success in all his endeavors. And that's dated today, August 21st.
Here, here.
So, make sure you tell him that we appreciate his service. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried for the proclamation. It's a lot of years. Okay, now we're to the part in our agenda for the public hearing. And we'll call on you one at a time. You will have the same 3 minutes. We're here to hear your comments, your public comments. And
So not necessarily a response.
yeah, and we're not really, not necessarily able to respond, but if there's certain things, we will have our city manager get back with you. Or feel free to contact Mr. Molmack at the city hall, and he can set up an appointment for you in his office.
I'm in my office 50 hours a week. It's not hot.
So, hands, who wants to speak? Mike, you'd come up to our speakers right above, that way everybody can hear who's watching it from far away.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Higgins, and my wife Chris and I own 334 Old Farm Lane in Angry River Estates. We appreciate, and I think I can speak on behalf of some of my neighbors who are here tonight too. We appreciate that you've taken an interest in this project, getting the roads fixed. We appreciate that. But we need to let you know that my wife and I object to the special assessment against our property for this project. And it seems clear to me, from what I learned from our research, it seems clear to me that a while back, the city was negligent in issuing building permits in this subdivision when the road was not completed and there was no performance bond requested, at least as far as the city tells me. There's no performance bond to ensure completion of that road. It was never done. And now the city is asking us, in spite of the fact that they dropped the ball, they're asking us to contribute, at least in part, toward this project. for most of us, it's to the tune of almost $4,000 over 10 years. And we object to that, and we are appealing that special assessment. We believe that there are other options for the city, and that to take this road is illegal and wrong. It's just wrong. And we object to that. Hopefully, the city will find another alternative. We'd love this project to go forward, but not this way. It's not right to ask us to pay extra when other city projects, other road projects are paid for by the city. But for you to say to us, we want you to pay over and above our taxes for this project is just wrong. So I thank you very much.
And Mandy back.
Good evening again. I once took my dog to the vet and had some pet grooming service done at the same time. During the time, the groomer cut a 2-inch gash in my dog's head, which required surgery and stitches. The vet informed us of the accident and without hesitation took responsibility for her employees and paid the operation herself. Imagine a world where the head of an organization would charge even, let's say, 30% to a customer for the mistakes of its employees, past, present, or future, and then have the audacity to say that the customer should be grateful that they're not charging 100%. Not only would that be absurd or inappropriate, perhaps illegal in some situations, but it's also unethical. Any owner or leader of an organization admits fault, but shifts any of the burden of correction to someone else shows that they have unethical character. And if the vet would have tried to do something like that to me, I would have certainly hired an attorney, and I am confident that the vet would not have found a favorable outcome. Similarly, concerning this assessment, I don't think we agree, the residents or the commission right now. One commissioner said last time that I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people to blame. Whoever they are, we'll find them later. Well, we already know who's to blame, and that's the city. Another commissioner put it, the city dropped the ball, now you have to pay for it, that's not cool. And glibly stated that none of you were there to make the decision to hire or fire these people back then. But you're here now, and it's your job to do the right thing and take responsibility for the past, present, and future while you're in office. That's what the residents of Lapeer voted to put you there for. In regards to the cost, the city should take 100% of the responsibility, financial or otherwise, for this mistake. Since the city and the residents don't see eye to eye on the issue, we had no choice as the residents of Andrews River Estate but to hire an attorney to represent our best interests concerning this issue of an unethical misuse of the special assessment. You should expect to hear from law offices of Kickham Hanley of Royal Oak. You'll find that they specialize in municipal litigation and make quite a reputation for themselves suing municipalities for some of the tax issues. Additionally, I just want to let you guys know the city that there may be entities that the city can pursue to make good on past surety and performance. I found a Laura report for the 2023 annual filings of Land Management Group LLC represented by Jeffrey Fritz, listed as the proprietor in the Andrews River as estate plat documents. Jeffrey Fritz also happens to be the president of the Fritz Builders, listed as the constructor or the contractor on the FOIA documents that I received from the city. This is the entity that you're referring to that dissolved in 2016, but around the same time, an entity incorporated named Fritz Home Builders made an annual report in 2023 at the same time this year with Stephen Fritz as its president. I called them and found out that it's mostly all the same people except for Jeffrey, who wanted to retire. I spoke with one of the bosses who recalls paying a surety to the city for the roads back then. I believe him. I believe him because on that same FOIA document with the proprietor certificate, there's a certificate of municipal approval that states that several sureties were collected in accordance with corresponding ordinances. And since there was and is an ordinance that required the city to collect on road sureties, I believe it.
Mr. Ham, you've got 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right. Either way, we want our roads completed as it should have been, and we'd like the city to pay for it out of its own budget for the fault of dropping the ball. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to?
Have a good day today. Hi, my name is Donna Whittier. I live at 46 Oak Carriage Lane. At your last meeting, I believe all of you said you would be very transparent with all of us about this project going forward. The letter that we received stating what the estimate would be for the road, it concerns me because it is an estimate. It's no guarantee that this is going to go up and cost more money for us. I was hoping you were going to send something out to all of us to kind of explain what has happened. I mean, I understand that we have a new city manager, a lot of you weren't around, but I'm just feeling that as you represent me, you're the commissioners, and I just don't feel like you're taking full responsibility. As long as it was explained to me, but I'm not getting any type of feedback. I did send a letter to you, and I didn't get a response, but again, I don't know how the procedure goes. So I'm just looking for this board to take accountability here, and if it means putting it on hold for a little bit and getting the full facts, I would appreciate that than just to jump ahead. So thank you very much.
We're talking about Mr. Mo Womack will respond to your letter.
I only just
Yeah,
received it a couple days ago,
received
and
it,
it was a festival, so I didn't have time.
But he will be back. Chris, did you really have that? Anybody else?
My name is Aaron Hartley, 63 Old Fern Court. I've just moved back here for less than a year, and been told I'm gonna have over $4,000 bill on a minute for basically what is being discussed here today. I'm here to support my neighbors, and I object to this special assessment. Thanks.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jim Zabel. I'm at 427 Old Farm Lane in the subdivision that's being discussed. And as other folks and my neighbors have already shared with you, is that I was here at the last meeting, and each one of you said, yeah, we dropped the ball. Every single one of you did. Every single one of you, we dropped the ball. It's the city's fault. But you should be happy you're only paying 30%. Okay? And I can guarantee you that my neighbors in the farthest south, they pay 0%. All right? What this city council is doing is unethical. You presented us with an estimate without any written. As far as I know, you haven't gone out and had anybody come in and give you a true cost of what this project is going to be. So basically, you're asking us to support you with a blank check. That's not going to happen. I object to that. And I object to the unethical findings and the unethical attitudes of this board. The only person here on this board that questioned anything in regards to this issue was Commissioner Atwood. And I commend you for that. But I think all of you need to take some deep thought and think about what ethics actually is and abide by that. If the city dropped the ball, the city needs to pick it back up and accept responsibility for that. That's what I teach my kids. You accept responsibility, whether what you did was wrong or right. If you did what was wrong, you make it right. And 30% is not making it right. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing no more hands, then I will close. I will close the public hearing. So the commissioners have before you the information. Make a motion, so you have to make a motion of one sort or another, before it can be discussed. Commissioner Bassett.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 5, confirming the role regarding the Andrew Rivers Estate Number 2 Street Improvement Special Assessment District 2023-01.
Motion was made by Commissioner Coniston. Is there support?
I'll support so we can talk.
And supported by Commissioner Tick. Discussion. Would you like to go first, Commissioner Stoll?
Sure. I'm just not happy with how this whole thing is rolling out, to be perfectly honest. The more research that I do, the more conversations that I have with residents and also people within the city, I don't think that this is the homeowner's responsibility to front this, that this is definitely a wrong that was made by prior commissioners and a prior city manager, that we are going to be making a mistake, a lack of judgment, asleep at the wheel, if you want to be so kind. But frankly, I think, once again, this commission is now going to be picking up somebody else's problem that has been just brushed under the rug. It stops here. I don't agree with this one bit.
Commissioner Bassett.
I looked into a lot of things. One interesting fact I found is that in Michigan, the average life of an asphalt road is 17 to 20 years. This road is 20 years old. It needs replaced, regardless of the circumstances. It's a 20-year-old road.
Any other comments?
I will just share, taking myself out of this for a second, just looking at all the options. Certainly, some of the things that we as a government could do is stick these poor people with a hole in their bill. That's done in other communities. We're obviously not considering that. And I've been wrestling with what is fair. What is fair? Obviously, us being plugged into the city can understand, and it's safe for each of us to assume at some point in time, somewhere in the line, the city followed. We can assume that. That's a safe. But my curiosity is also to, hey, it's my house, and every time it rains, my street is flooded. Am I calling City Hall on that for 20 years? I want a fair, peaceful solution for these folks. And certainly, I don't want a situation where, hey, you're stuck with the whole thing. You know, but whether we pay for the whole thing or do the 70-30 split, as long as in our hearts we know this is fair. Because we're going to be asking people who are not associated with this neighborhood, who contribute taxes to this government, to already cover 70%. Are we going to say to everybody who is a part of our community, hey, all of us are covering the whole thing? I think about those business owners that are out here, who their number one complaint to us is, pay enough taxes, Eric. Amen. We do. But should a business owner on the north end of town, should the tax dollars he pay go to the benefit of 20 households? Because that's the benefit of this project, it's 20 households. So I will yield to the majority of this commission to what is fair and what is proper. And absolutely, I agree with Commissioner Strauss' situation. This problem, as I said last time, was nowhere on our radar. For the 4 years I've been sitting here, on our radar at all. And then all of a sudden, we have a change in the manager position, and this project is on the top of the list. Headward. So I will yield to wherever the majority of us are.
Madam Mayor, can I defend myself for a second?
So for the audience, I did not start this project.
Correct.
This was started by the previous manager.
Correct.
This was all being cycled before I got here.
Correct.
And I'm following the policies of council that have been in place since 1989. So I did do a little bit of research. The last special assessment that was completed in the city was in 2017, and it helped pave Calhoun Court and Mill Road. There was, in fact, a special assessment done in the Amber River neighborhood in '95 for the homes on the south side. And that was for $870,000. Each property was hit with an assessment of approximately $17,000 per property. There have been 34 separate special assessments since 1992 following this policy. I don't get a vote, obviously. And I understand, I do truly understand that the citizens don't want to pay more money for a road. And, you know, they've latched onto this, well, the city screwed up and therefore we should not have to pay anything for a road. But to echo what Mr. Patterson said, this road's 20 plus years old. That's a normal lifespan for a road. And so I think it was probably about time to replace this road anyways. I indicated in my previous community that the special assessments were about 100% for the citizens. The two cases that I looked up, Court of Appeals, those communities hit their citizens for 80% of the total value. Here, we're asking the citizens to contribute 30%. This is not a through road. This is a neighborhood road, and the homes that are adjacent to these roads will especially be benefited by this project. So I think it's fair to ask them to contribute something. So that's my better. Thank you.
Any other comments? Commissioner Atwood?
Yeah, I'm just like, you know, again, the city staff is just doing the process that's been in place since 89. And as I read through like the literature, it has been in front of us. I mean, I went through the budget process. And the first time that I actually heard from the citizens, I believe was resolution 4 or 3. But, you know, in reading through the stuff that the citizens receive, I don't really see anywhere that gives them direction on what to do if they don't agree with. I don't want to call it SAM.
Special assessment.
Yes, that's the abbreviation. But there's a section, and maybe I need clarification, but in 64-6, objections to necessity of public improvement. It states, if at or prior to the hearing on the public improvement, property owners whose property in special assessment district objects to the necessity of the proposed public improvement by more than 60%, the public improvement shall not be made by proceedings authorized by this chapter without a 4 to 5 vote of the members of the commission. So, like you know specifically what, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I think what we can learn from this process is how do we better communicate and give, moving forward, giving residents, I mean, I know it's here on the public website and they could have went and read that, but the general public is not going to know, you know, let's say all the neighborhood wanted it. Okay, well, how do we go about it? Let's say 40% did. Like, what are their options? So I think moving forward, and I think you mentioned this before, is the pamphlets and handouts that we send out need a little more updating, you should say.
Well, so I fully agree that the city has traditionally, at least over the last 18, 20 years, done a poor job communicating with the public, which, as you guys have seen over the last 100 days, I think I've done a much better job of that. Yeah, so we've obviously had two hearings on this. There was the necessity hearing last time, and I don't remember hearing a single comment saying that it wasn't necessary, including today. We've had multiple people say, project's gotta get done. We agree with that. We're at the stage of talking about paying for it, and whether the costs and the 1989 policy are fair for what's being proposed. The estimate, Mayor, if you mind, the estimate that has been prepared by the city's engineering corporation is what we're using to determine the proposed cost of the citizens. And then obviously we haven't received a bid for it yet, so that's next. If the bid comes in high, there's a number of different ways we can handle it. The law authorizes us to seek another assessment. I suspect we wouldn't do that. My suspicion is that the city would then have the option of either not going through the project because material costs are too high, or the city might point out the difference. If it comes in low, then that would be refunded to the citizens proportionally according to how much they're being proposed to pay, right? So it's a very complicated thing, and of course, during public comment, maybe threatened is the wrong word, but we were made aware that the citizens may have declared a law from the sewer system, right? So I don't want to get into the legal specifics about it. If we end up going to court, that's a separate issue. Really what we're talking about today is whether what we're proposing is fair based on the 1989 policy, the fact that it's been done 34 times since. The road's been 25 years old, and the Pro Engineering gave us an estimate of what it's going to cost. That's a long explanation to, you're right, we didn't communicate very well, but we also can't just send a print to everybody. And people wouldn't read a book if we did.
Yeah, I get that. I guess it's not necessarily anybody's fault. Just this whole process has been kind of, and I get it because it's kind of goofy because it should have been fixed, right 20 years ago. And this is the weird issue that we have, and I don't know. So let's say we don't approve this resolution today. What would happen?
So
to the project.
Yep, so the rules are pretty specific, which I don't have them memorized. But my suspicion is that we would just not go forward with the project. Now, is there a time refractory period? I'm not going to my staff because I don't think I want an answer from them, but there's probably a refractory period built into it as well, saying, well, you can't revisit the issue for a year or something. That's my guess. Not having read the law on that. But, I mean, going back again to what Mr. Patterson indicated, it's a 25-year-old road. That's an average lifespan for a road. And the public has indicated that they agree that it needs to be fixed. So we can go for another 5, 10, 20 years and let it degrade to nothing. But the city still has a policy that indicates that the citizens should be paying 30% of the cost of the special assessment.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this road was never completed. This is a sub-road. So when you are bantering around that the road is 20 or 25 years old and needs to be replaced anyways, you need to back up the horse a little bit and go, this road was never completed to begin with. The city did not hold the builder accountable to what was necessary. It is nothing weird, it is nothing goofy that's going on. We had people, a person that was asleep at the wheel and knew that this was happening, this was there. And now we're going to fix it. So we can make a motion to fund the entire project at 100%. Correct?
Sure, you'd be violating your own policy. And you'd be saying to the rest of the citizens of the community that these people get free road, but you don't. But yes, you could. You'd have to to either withdraw the motion that's on the table or vote against it.
Question. Being confused with when you're talking about, the numbers that have been listed, unofficial, of course, yet, because it hasn't been put out for a bid or anything like that.
Correct.
But if they're assessed that amount, when would they, and it comes in less, do they have to pay that up front and then be refunded later?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Is it-
So,
I must have misunderstood your comment a little bit. I
So-
wanted to clarify that, to make sure.
yeah, so my understanding is that the proposal is approximately $3,500 right now over a 10-year period, so about $350 per year. But obviously, we wouldn't be hitting them with a bill of any kind until the project is completed and we have final funds. That's my
Okay.
understanding.
Sure that we have that. Sure the question?
Yes.
It's just for that. For comment.
Not a question, but, so even though some of us may not ask questions up here to your liking, we do an awful lot of homework. I personally spent many, many, many hours just on this, digging, looking, finding. Policies are great, but the policy was broken when we didn't act on the bond 25 years ago. I live on a private street. It doesn't have curb or gutter, it's private. We have to plow it and salt it ourselves. It's 25 years old with no curb and no gutter and no cracks. So I don't think there's any other road in this town that's 25 years old that's getting replaced, because there's an awful lot that are way older and really bad. And so it's not our policy to replace roads after 25 years. It's not even our policy, there's a list somewhere that says these are the ones on the hit list that are the worst and we need to get done. And this road certainly is one of them. It's nasty. But yes, we can break our own policy because we're the one that broke the policy, not us personally, but the city broke the policy 25 years ago. And we didn't act on that bond.
Who's been paid for clapping? Mr. Castle.
What we are saying is every other citizen in this, every taxpayer is going to have to give up something to break our policy. And yes, the road wasn't completed 25 years ago, but it's been a serviceable road for 25 years. And even if it were completed, it would still be at the end of its life.
No, yeah, this is not a public comment time, please.
So, commissioners, if you don't want to go through with it, and you want to pay 100%, ask yourselves, what do you want to cut? Because our budget is filled. What do you want to cut? Because we will have to cut something else if we make the rest of the city pay for this project.
Well, I'm not downplaying the situation. The reason why I said it's goofy is because it kind of is. And I get the point of not 100% of the people in the city are driving on that road. So the people who do benefit are the people who are living there. But then you have the issue of, the city didn't follow up with the finishing the road, so it deteriorated at a more rapid pace than it should have. So the reason why I said it was goofy is because it's not like our normal type scenario when we do a SAD, to where not everybody driving on that road besides the male people, the people who live there, or somebody who's lost, or the trash haulers. I would really like I would like an opinion from our city attorney. And I know he's probably gonna back up what our policy is saying. Because this is what we have to work with. I mean, can we table it until we hear from the city attorney?
I don't know what the legal question might be at this point. Staff has followed the letter of our policy.
That's what I'm saying, the
We
city attorney.
followed the
probably-
letter of our ordinance. And I've done some basic legal research myself, just to see, you know, what the case law out there says. But yeah, of course, you can table it if you want. I just don't know what I'm gonna be asking the city attorney.
Yeah, specific question or wanting to review certain documents.
So if I could jump in for a second, so another thing that we did talk about previously was looking at the aiding policy too. So, which is something we didn't bring up, but the finance director and I did find about 5% of the total cost that we were able to cut out of the overall cost of the project. You know, it's not 30%, but it's 5%. And I think that goes to show that both this board and staff are interested in doing the best we can for the citizens. And we have an 89 policy. It's been in place, I don't know how many years, it's a lot of years, and it's been used 34 times. It's been fair for all the other citizens in the community. So if we were to stop using it now, you know, my fear would be, well, what happens next time somebody says, well, you know, you let too heavy a trash hauler on my road and therefore I deserve a free road too. Are we gonna violate the policy again? Maybe we look at the policy and say, maybe we need to address the policy first. And see if maybe it's just not fair and equitable in today's modern era.
So I mean, as far as policy, like, I don't like when the government forces you to do something, right? So in essence, if we move forward with this project, we'd be forcing people, per our, it's all here, we're following protocol, to do something without hearing from the majority of that neighborhood. Is there a policy in other said ordinances throughout the state where they hear back from the community and be like, you know, the majority wants this done, let's do it?
Well,
Is that a change we could make to the policy?
I don't know if I'm legally authorized to do a direct democracy vote from the public. I mean, this is the opportunity at the last hearing for the public to come in and make their voices heard. But you guys are the elected authorities for the city to determine whether it was necessary, which we all agreed it was, and then whether to adopt a policy which has been in place since 1989 or not.
I just want to make a quick comment that if you do decide to put this off for another meeting, somebody would need to make the motion, of course, to not follow through with the first motion. And then you'd have to have a, verify with our clerk, but I believe you have to have an ending date for when you would take it to. That's right.
Do we have a precedence of any other development in our city records that a special assessment has been issued on work that was not completed by said developer?
I think that's a record that would be kept, or at least I'm not aware of one.
I don't know for sure, but geez, I thought there was a couple. In the past.
I guess my reason for bringing that up as well is that we want to be business friendly, and developers are businesses that are coming into our community. And to a certain degree, we need to hold them accountable, and we didn't in this case. It is not the residents' fault that we didn't hold the developer accountable. but it is now our problem. We have many development projects coming in. I hope we never have to deal with anything like this, and I'm sure that we will all be crossing our Ts and dotting our Is to make sure that we are not sitting in this situation. But at the same time, if we are in this situation, our predecessors had created this situation, a developer has defaulted, not defaulted, well, he went out of business, whatever, he defaulted. He didn't do it. 25 years has gone by and no one bothered to follow up. Now, I'm not going to say also that the residents aren't also a little bit in this. Pick up the phone and bitch to the city. If something's not being done, you gotta say something. If you don't like the heat, bang on the radiator, talk to the landlord. But in the same token, we have got to do a better job as a commission. And I just don't think that it's fair to ask these people to pay for something that our predecessors had really let go unnoticed.
So Mr. Carter's saying they've been using it as a road for 25 years without complaints?
I don't know that. Can we do a FOIA of the entire staff to make sure that there haven't been email communications or letters or documentation to the city that no one has been claimed?
Until we're not.
Okay, let's do it. If there has been communication from the residents of the city and the city has been negligent in not following up, then guess what? We're on the hook for it 100%.
Would like to make a comment that I don't think hardly any of our staff that are here currently, we're here now. But that changes anything. I just
No, I mean, I'm just saying.
want people to think it's our staff that are.
This all started 25 years ago.
Commissioner.
Let me build upon Mr. Stroh. Would you be then taking the table for a month so that we can get that information from city administration? And then make a decision?
Sure.
Would a month time be enough time to look into that? Mr. Lawyer?
I don't know what you're looking into.
As far as the email correspondence or records on this?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we can look through email correspondence for as long as we've had email accounts for complaints about Andrew versus state. But we're certainly not going to have records 25 years.
No, we're not.
Commissioner Patterson.
Again, the situation is, we have a 25-year-old road that needs replaced. Putting off the decision on this one, what also makes it different than any of the other roads that we need replaced? Are we going to, well, it's been 25 years, we found an email of complaint, we dropped the ball, we should have fixed it, let's pay it all. Again, if we pick up all the costs, we have to cut something in the budget. We have, I could understand if it was a year-old road,
This was a road that was never put in.
but it's still, even if it was put in, it's reached its life expectancy. 25 years.
There's a disconnect in our philosophy, I'm sorry.
Roads don't last forever, Commissioner. So,
Do we know of any other roads in the city that after 25 years got a new one? Is there any other road that's on the list of the top priority because it's so trashed that are 25 years old, or are they much older? I don't think the city has a habit of replacing roads in 25 years. Correct. Lifespan or not, whatever it says, we give it a lot more life than that before we replace it as a general rule, unless we're talking about Gen C that's every year it seems.
No.
Yeah. I know. I just feel bad for all those businesses. But I mean, it's, I'm not an attorney. I don't speak legalese, and I know that we have a policy, but we also had a policy to get a bond to make sure that was done. We didn't make sure it was done. That is the city's fault. If the city, it doesn't matter if it fell in our lap, none of us were here, doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, that was not done. Nobody followed up on it. I don't take kindly to, you know, I'm going to sue you or so forth, but I believe them that they have retained an attorney and are contacting us. I feel like we shouldn't do this because the city is the one who broke their policy and messed up first. It doesn't matter how we inherited it, doesn't matter who did it, it doesn't matter. Fact of the matter is, it wasn't done right in the first place. The policy wasn't followed way back then. That is not a homeowner problem.
Commissioner Finn,
Good.
Mr. Patterson,
How do we explain this then to the other special assessments, including St. Andrews? They pay for their roads. Why should we
The phase
make,
one.
why should we make them also pay
It was
the
the,
next part over?
was it the phase one that was special assessed?
So the record I have is 1995, Andrew River Special Assessment, $870,000 total, $17,000 per property.
And now we're asking them
Is
to
that,
pay for the north end.
A subdivision didn't exist in 1960.
This is not a public comment record.
that's what I was wondering, that when was that subdivision started? Because you wouldn't special assess someone for a developer to put that in, and I think this whole neighborhood, I know it was done in a couple phases, but you wouldn't have put a special assessment on 2 or 3 or even 5 years after a brand new neighborhood went in. I don't know when it's on site, but.
do we have record of when Rivers went in?
First house went up in the mid to late 90s.
So that doesn't make sense, maybe they special assessed
Planned in
the
96.
developer and did the things, it just doesn't make sense to me. I worked for a developer, did lots of roads, paid lots of bonds, and none of that makes sense to special assess the house, because that developer at that point would have had a bond on it as well. So maybe they had a deal with the city, I don't know, it's hard to look for records that are 25 years old before everything's under your fingers.
All right, what's your pleasure?
We have a motion on the table.
We have to, I know, but somebody has.
We have a motion on the table.
There is a motion on the table.
Madam Clerk, whose motion is it?
This one.
The motion was made by Commissioner Commissioner Patterson, and supported for discussion by Commissioner Contane.
I do have one more question. Is that true if we vote it down that we can't even readdress it for a year rather than table it for 2 or 4 weeks?
I haven't been able to get through this ordinance that fast, so.
I can't speak with authority on that. I guess my preference would be to table it, to give us more time to look into it.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to withdraw my support in an effort so the other commissioners can table.
That doesn't matter. So the motion has to be withdrawn first, and then we can withdraw it.
Okay.
Based on the wishes of our city manager, I will withdraw my motion and make a motion to table it until the
Next regular meeting.
next regular meeting.
Madam Clerk, is that?
Actually, what we have to do is say that you're withdrawing your motion,
Which is it?
which you did, and then
Withdraw
Commissioner
support.
Contane is withdrawing his support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Withdrawn. Motion is withdrawn. Now you can make your motion.
Make a motion to table the public hearing F1 until the next regular meeting of the city commission.
Support.
So that's the day after Labor Day.
Here we go. Do this.
This September 5th.
Yes. Okay. It's been tabled then till September
We gotta
5th.
vote.
All those in favor?
Oh, we did this. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Womack,
Yes.
if we have to re-notify everybody that.
Yeah. So I thought there was a period of time that if it was still held within that period of time, it was okay. But if not, then we might have to renotice. Do you have that information in front of you?
I didn't get to the past.
So, Madam Mayor.
Can I make a suggestion that we postpone a little bit longer to make sure that everything's researched properly and that you have that time? Commissioner Passo.
Well, if I make a motion to postpone the hearing until, to ensure that we get adequate notice and research conducted early as possible.
Madam Clerk, you have a
I think you have to
recommendation?
put a date on it.
Okay, the second hearing next month.
That would be 18. I support that.
The motion was to table this until September 18th, which is made by Commissioner Patterson.
Okay. Do I need to put and to withdraw my previous, cancel the previous motion? Well, we approved it.
How's that work?
Parliamentary procedure is fun.
Yeah, okay,
Ramona,
so
do we have
we
to,
need to have a motion then to withdraw that first motion. We're tabling it until September 5th.
okay, I make a motion to withdraw the previous motion to hold the hearing on September 5th and change it to September 18th, 2023.
Support. Notice everybody wearing glasses, just took the glasses off for the last 30 seconds.
Okay. Motion was made by Commissioner Patterson and supported by Commissioner Catane to withdraw that first motion
And to move it.
and to move it to
September
September 18th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. September 18th. All right, now we can move on. Like to that we take a 5-minute break. Come back.
We'd have to vote on it.
You got to vote? I'd like to request, I should say.
5-minute recess.
Supported.
Motion was made by Commissioner Catane and supported by Commissioner Patterson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Home to my feet today.
Yeah, you guys have,
So you guys have Roger back a little bit?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, we're all back. So we're gonna move on to, P1. under the administrative reports.
Make a motion to approve the contract with HydroCorp for cross-connection services not to exceed $23,874 and authorize the Director of Public Works to sign all necessary documents.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Patterson and supported by Commissioner Stroh. Is there discussion? Okay, hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Katane,
Yes.
Commissioner Patterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stroh,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yes.
Motion carries. G2, budget amendment.
Make a motion to approve the budget amendments for the fiscal year 2023-24 as presented.
Support. All together now.
Unanimous.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Katane, and I think it was supported first by Commissioner Swindell. Is there discussion? Okay, hearing none, then there's a roll call vote on this one as well.
Commissioner Patterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stroh,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Katane.
Yes.
Motion carries. G3 is our credit card purchasing card policy.
I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution to approve the credit card purchasing card policy.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Katane and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Discussion regarding this.
I just point out that the finance director has been putting a lot of work into addressing the safety and security of the city's finances, and this is part of it. I think there's still, some things we can do a little bit better, but she's been working really hard and doing a great job on it.
Aye.
Local.
No.
No, it isn't. No, it's financing. There's no dollar amount. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. All right. To the city managers report, Mr. Womack, please.
Well, I just got
Yeah,
done
of course.
enjoying my first Lapeer days. Yeah, it's been real busy at City Hall. Staff's been doing a great job. I'm a little surprised to hear people impugning the character of my staff. I believe they're all highly ethical people, and that's why they work in City Hall. I'm proud to serve along with them. Not seeing a single unethical thing done by any of my staff. So, that being said, the pretzels at the pretzel booth were amazing. Look forward to them coming back. Mr. Boats did a great job swimming in the dunk tank. Appreciate that. And just a lot of hard work. This is a big piece of the city that we run here. Big ship, turns slowly. So I appreciate all the support you guys have given me regarding the governmental transparency and other things we're working on. I know tonight's discussion is difficult, and there are equally, I think, ethical and appropriate philosophies about how to run government. And I think we saw a great exercise in that tonight, and I appreciate you guys being civil to each other.
Let's see, we have. Where I should go. Here it is. For under unfinished business, we have just one appointment, and that's under the commission appointments. Commissioner Strong.
I make a motion to approve Michael Vogt to the Lapeer County Central Dispatch Authority for a 3-year term ending on September 26th. No,
Support.
September 2026.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Stroh and supported by Commissioner Katane. Any discussion?
Your time in the dunk tank got you 3 more years. Good job, Pete.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you for your service, Chief Foley.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, in your packet, you read your monthly department reports, the DDA authority monthly report, and license updates, marijuana updates. And so we're back to public comments. Would anybody like to make a public comment? And closing comments, Commissioner Pacheco.
Okay. It was Lapeer days. It was great. It was wonderful. Weather was perfect. I'm glad it rained on Thursday so that Friday and Saturday and Sunday were wonderful weather. Unfortunately, I have a feeling as we do a recap chat with the chamber and any future conversations about reusing Antwerp Park for the carnival, that poor park was a mosh pit for most of us. So I wanted to say to all of the employees of the city and city administration and management, you know, first thing Friday morning, I saw the dump truck out there in Antwerp Park so that the public would be able to use that parking space. And all I can think of is the poor Parks Department and the job, the cleanup, and did the grass survive? And no, it did not. So thank you. I tip my hat off to everybody in the city that you know quickly took action so that you know that is the number one free parking spot for Lapeer. So good job to all for that. I have another praise that I'm super excited about for city administration, that the change happened now that our total agenda packages are now there for public access. So every member of the public can go to the website and see everything that we see, everything that's, you know, hey, if we have an item that's staff is recommending, hey, we should support this, or staff is recommending we don't support this, or staff has no opinion on what we should do. We see all of you, the members of the public, will be able to see all that underlying information that we get to see. So, you know, I remember my first year being on the commission saying to a friend of mine, hey, you get 2 pages, we get 100, 200, 300 pages, and we got 3.5 days to get ready. So I'm glad for the transparency. So thank you, city admin, for doing that. What else? I think that's about it. Oh, what's up and coming? Well, we got Beaver Dash is coming in what, a month? The 23rd.
September 23rd.
And then we got the Rubber Duck Dash is coming in Crampton Park on September 9th for the Kiwanis Club. And so don't forget these things, these events coming in September. And enjoy. Thank you.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yeah, I would just like to thank the chamber and all their volunteers they had also for putting on your days once again. But I'd also like to thank the city staff because today there's a car show. And they had that downtown all cleaned up and all that stuff. It's car show. So I'd like to thank you guys for all the hard work. Also with this special assessment with Andrews Rivers Estate. I mean, again, I do have to back up city staff here because you guys are just doing what we've told you to do. So from what I gather, we as a commission should have either said no to this from the get-go or tried to figure something else out. So it's kind of a mess, but I do think we can come to a conclusion and figure something out. Mm-hmm. Again, none of us were here back then, and this is kind of our issue. But,
Okay, thank you. I echo those sentiments, but not only do I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for an amazing Lapeer Days, I'd like to thank also all of our staff for really being able to pull this off and also turn around yet another DDA event completely on the heels of it, followed by yet more events as we proceed through the rest of the summer. I also want to make sure that our staff understands that it is not my intention to to piss any of you off or frustrate or I believe that you are all doing such an amazing job, but we are now saddled with a problem that has carried over through administrations and commissions, and now we need to make it correct. I'm not throwing a dart, I'm not throwing a knife at anybody with regard to, but we need to have more information. And so I want to thank you all for the due diligence and the hard work that you continue to do and continue to surprise me with the awards, the accolades, and the support that not only other communities give us, but also our citizens. With that said, I think you too can also find a resolution to the sticky wickets, as it were. I think that this is not a very comfortable thing to be working through, but you know what? I couldn't be working through it with better people. So thank you.
The Pier Days was absolutely wonderful, as always. It takes an absolute army of volunteers, months and months and months, to come together to make that happen and make no one knows anything, all that hard work that goes in there, and sometimes all that hard work catches you a lot of grief from some people. But the majority of people were wonderful, and the volunteers were wonderful. By Sunday afternoon, they were all ready for it to be over and done. I did go to the grand opening at Twardowski Park today of the disc golf course. The county put in a ton of work. The county maintenance and grounds fellas, they put in a ton of work, and it was funny to watch them today get to stand there and throw a disc. I said, haven't you guys, you've been doing this it's been well over a year that this project has been going on. I said, come on, don't tell me you haven't thrown any discs. And someone joked and said, well, they should be professionals by now. But watching them be able to enjoy themselves standing there and throw the discs from all that work, and they had to squeeze it into all of their other work. That was just a whole other thing thrown on their plate, and the county came together and got it done. And those guys were really proud of all the work that they put in. And that was really nice to see. There were a lot of people there from the county, and that was really cool. The 23rd of September is also Porch Fest rescheduled day. It's also Oktoberfest at Tilted Axis and Beaver Dash Bash. It's a busy, busy, busy day in the city of Lapeer. And then the next day on the 24th is the grand opening of the Crampton Park Disc Golf one that we approved earlier today, the actual event. So there's so many things to do all the time in Lapeer, I feel like, and there's something for everyone to find something that you can enjoy our city and being outside. I'm just so thrilled to have more outdoor activities for people to do. More people are getting outside, and that's awesome. Hundreds and hundreds of people are using these parks now. Twardowski Park and Crampton Park were underutilized acreage, and now they're being utilized, and seeing all the people there I just love it. It's awesome. It was worth the effort. That's it.
Everything's been covered.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. No, just wanted to pass on one thing. Visiting relatives in Detroit over the weekend, and went to Eastern Market, and it was nice. One thing I saw that might be interesting is they actually have closed off some of their street areas, like we have, as a social district. But what they've done is they've painted pickleball courts on the roadway, and they open up the roadways to pickleball, for something we might consider in our new social district, especially down at the other end of town, to maybe get some business going down there. Otherwise, the city did a great job at the Pier Days. Couldn't be prouder. And expecting nothing less from them. They're top notch.
you have anything to add?
I appear to have praised my staff too early. I guess I'm supposed to do that here, right?
Yes.
No, I'll repeat what I said earlier. Staff's been great, all highly ethical, wonderful people to work with. And I guess one thing I would add is, took my little niece to a park yesterday. And, she thinks it was for her. But it was really for me to see how other communities do their parks. Which I do wherever I go. It's almost a sickness in your head to visit other communities, to see what they're doing right, to see what they're doing wrong. Let's bring that back to this community so that we can do better for our citizens. So enjoyed a very, very warm day. That was my niece at the park. But hopefully we can bring some of those ideas back here. Regarding pickleball on the streets, I'm sure that would violate all sorts of MUCTA. Is that how we pronounce it, Jim? MUCTA, the Uniform Commercial Traffic Device Ordinance or whatever statute. Plus, I would point out for Mr. Vogt, it's not that I didn't want to dunk you. I desperately did. I was a little fearful that my fastball might veer off into a vehicle behind you. Next year, let's make sure that it's a brick wall or something behind you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, I spent, not a lot of time, but the time at Lapeer Days certainly, and then a lot of time at Lapeer Days on Saturday was the parade, opening ceremony, which was changed up from last year. Normally it's on Fridays, but this year it was on Saturday. So I don't know if any of our city employees were down there at that particular time, but I certainly did bring it up. And if you didn't hear me, I wanted to thank you very much for all the dedication that our city police, city fire department, DPW, Parks Department, and everybody else, because everything here has to be in place for the Lapeer Days to happen. Marlena, Commissioner Swindell is right. The Lapeer Days Committee starts on this 9 months ahead of time. So January plus another month or so, they'll be revamping and looking at what has taken place, should any changes be done. And then each person is in charge of a particular area. Spends I don't know how many hours outside of that organizing, such as Chief Vogt, Chief Hall, with their departments, DPW, etc. So yeah, lots of time. I also had the privilege of judging a baby contest and the toddler contest, which is very hard to do. But boy, I have some pictures and they are just gorgeous kids. Children. And then I also had the privilege of voting for Mayor's Choice on a car. I wasn't able to do it last year. Well, of course, I didn't pick a car. If anybody knows what I drive a truck. So there was 3 or 4 of them that were just, I mean, a lot of cars are beautiful as well, but the truck was beautiful. And so I picked a 1955 Chevy truck. Let's move on. I got pictures of that too. But there were 4 others. There was Meyer pick, the chamber pick, and then the person who organizes the car show is Best of Show. And I'm not sure who won that. But a lot of fun. I'm going to make sure I never forget that. So anyway, I've got a couple local events, which everybody knows tonight. The Monday Night Car Cruise is from 5 to 9. Farmers Market is on Wednesdays and Saturdays, from 9 to 3, which will be back in parking lot number 5 behind Choice One Bank. I did hear from a lot of people, though, that they really did, residents around here, that they really did like to have had the farmers market back up the courthouse on Wednesday. They really enjoyed that. So maybe they'll be able to work that out again. The summer concert series is continuing on Thursdays, 6:30 to 8:30. Oh, until August 10th. It's not. That's that date. It's done. It's still on my list. Time's flying by so quickly. Friday night bikes is June 2nd, from June 2nd, as you were well aware, to September 8th. There's another event for, it's called A Jeep Thing on Nipissing on Saturday, August 26th, and that's from 5:30 to 9:30. And the event will take place in downtown Lapeer. And then August 29th, there will be a public forum for the Kiwanis regarding the new playground at Roding Park. Here in the city commission at 6 p.m. And then the disc golf opening is September 24th, and that begins at 10 a.m. It was in our packets, the information was wrong, so make sure you change that if you already put it in your calendar like I did. It's 10 o'clock. And that is all I have, and so I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you for being here.
I've been fired.
You are fired.
Dang. I was just told I could do that.
I
She
know
was
her.
more excited than you.
Oh, she was very excited. She didn't hit it with authority. She was really like,